Yes, it is unrivaled. It is also unwatched. Look, let's be honest. We can sugarcoat it all you want, but if you don't have Caitlin Clark playing women's basketball, or if you're not the NCAA tournament playing women's basketball, you got nothing. Zero zip, nothing. Angel Reese may be playing in the league, but who wants to see a goofy 6'6" woman miss layups? Not I.
When you remove Caitlin Clark from the equation, the new Unrivaled Basketball League faces a tough reality. Their opening weekend ratings are in, and they're about as underwhelming as an Angel Reese layup. It's a stark contrast.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
It seems Angel Reese's big talk just got slammed by reality. A total train wreck. Stay tuned as we break down the numbers, dive into fan reactions, and uncover what this means for the new 3-on-3 league, which banked heavily on Reese as its star attraction. Trust me, this reality
They released the first television numbers, TNT did, and they're bragging about them because, well, they're the best they've ever been. Because they've only been once. It's like being the most handsome man at the Dockett's family reunion. It sounds good, but it really doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. Look, let's be honest. The new women's basketball professional 3-on-3 league. The numbers were released from TNT, and they are not very good.
Remember when Angel Reese couldn't stop claiming she was the reason people watched women's basketball? Those were the days. Riding high on her newfound fame after her bold antics during LSU's championship win over Iowa, Reese was everywhere. Talk shows, social media, you name it. She basked in the spotlight, making sure everyone knew about her star power. Reese confidently declared herself the face of women's basketball, crediting her presence for drawing fans to the game. It was Angel Reese that, as if she were the second coming of Michael Jordan.
And it's hilarious because it's my understanding now, she keeps telling us, Angel Reese keeps telling us that it's not just Caitlin Clark, that she's part of this brigade of women's basketball players that are leading all these new viewers into the WNBA. And I think it's these ratings right here that prove the biggest point.
They say pride comes before fall, and Angel Reese just took a big one. The Unrivaled League's ratings are in, and they're far from living up to the hype. Remember all that talk about how people watch for Reese? Well, now it's time for her to back it up. As the league's supposed star, the numbers tell a different story, one that doesn't shine too brightly on Reese. Despite her bold claims, it turns out she's not the massive...
This is more statistical data that proves, no, nobody's tuning in to see Angel Reese.
I'm not saying Angel Reese is solely to blame for these ratings. It wouldn't be fair. But when you talk a big game, you've got to back it up. Right now, the numbers are falling flat, about as deflated as a worn-out basketball, leaving her...
We knew TNT would have to do something to try to spin this in some kind of positive direction, and I just don't think there's a way to do it, because Unrivaled, the Women's Basketball League, the new Women's Basketball League that we said would be dead on arrival without Caitlin Clark playing in it, was in fact dead on arrival. All right, let's just say unraveled already, and we just started.
How bad are the numbers? Let's just say it's not pretty. The first 2 days of Unrivaled games averaged roughly 300,000 viewers. TNT attempted to put a positive spin on it, highlighting it as the most watched women's basketball games in the network's history. But let's be real, that's a low bar to clear. Considering all the novelty, hype, and heavy marketing surrounding the new league, these figures fall far short of expectations, leaving many to question whether the buzz was ever justified.
TNT PR, the 2 games on Friday night, the debut games for the new league, averaged 312,000 viewers. Now, I got to ask you, 312,000 viewers. Let's go to 300,011 viewers, because there's probably 1,000 family members watching. What the hell? I mean, did you put your TV on? You're waiting for Charles Barkley on a Friday night hoops, and you just left it on? I mean, what are you doing?
To put it in perspective, these ratings are similar to regular WNBA games without Caitlin Clark. But when Clark steps on the court, viewership often soars past 1 million. Comparing Unrivaled's debut to the Caitlin Clark effect is like comparing a casual backyard pickup game to the NBA Finals, a stark difference that highlights just how much star power truly impacts audience interest.
The funniest part about these ratings that they put out, I mean, God, TNT Sports must be dizzy with the level of spin they're trying to give this thing. And Front Office Sports tried to spin it too. No, the ratings are bad.
But wait, it gets worse. Hard to believe, right? After the initial 300,000 viewers, the numbers plummeted. Monday's ratings were a disaster, with the first game drawing less than 200,000 viewers and the second barely hitting 100,000. That's a steep decline, faster than a bad flop, and it's a rough look for the league's early days. The hype clearly isn't translating to consistent audience interest.
In fact, the viewership actually dropped between the first game and the second game from last Friday, the debut of Unrivaled. Now, why is that significant? Angel Reese played in the second game, and they lost viewers from the first game. Now, once again, tell me how you're moving the needle, because people literally tuned out when your game came on.
You have to wonder what's going through Angel Reese's mind now. Is she still convinced she's the draw she believed she was? Because these numbers are telling a different story, and it's not a flattering one. The reality is, her star power might not be as strong as she thought.
I didn't know that the Unrivaled League was playing. I saw highlights of it or lowlights of it, and I gotta tell you, it's really bad.
You thought the ratings were bad? Hold on, because what's happening on the court is even worse. Unrivaled isn't just struggling to attract viewers, they're struggling to make basic shots. We're not talking about missed tough baskets, but wide-open layups clanking off the rim like it's a game of hot potato. It's a sloppy display, and the game itself is failing to impress.
Imagine missed layups from last night. Man, I mean, what is really going on here? You see that, and then right, whatever that is. I don't even know what that was. One more time. Oh, my God. I'm going to drive to the basket, and then I'm going to mess the ball up. No layups. Whatever that is. We don't know what that is. They haven't identified exactly what the hell that is.
When Unrivaled was first announced, fans were promised a showcase of elite talent, the best of the best. They hyped it up as an opportunity to watch top-tier athletes compete at the highest level. But what we got instead? Well, it wasn't exactly highlight reel material. The opening weekend was a basketball purist's nightmare. Players who were supposed to be professionals suddenly looked like they'd forgotten how to play. Wide-open shots sailed over the backboard. Fast breaks ended in fumbled passes, and the layups? Don't even get me started. It was a sloppy, frustrating display that didn't come close to living up to the hype.
Ended up being a blowout, was kind of unwatchable. And I also am just going to, that's one of the things I wanted to bring up here. I feel like I'm all over in this when I'm telling you my initial thoughts, but we need to be able to be more honest with our constructive criticism of women's basketball. And that was also one thing I noticed even with the commentary, sideline interviews, with the pregame show, postgame show. It felt like all of those were put in place as like a marketing tool for the play on the court, and it was just overwhelming praise.
But don't just take my word for it. Basketball analysts and former players have been ripping into Unrivaled's quality of play. One analyst didn't hold back, criticizing the league's overly positive coverage. She argued that we need to be more honest with constructive criticism of women's basketball. Translation? This isn't good, and we should be able to say it's not. The consensus is clear. The league's performance falls short, and honesty is key.
Things that they did are incredible, and that is all great things to point out, but we don't need to, like during the games, just be constantly praising and not calling out certain things like regular play-by-play commentary in studio shows would be doing. If you flip on an NBA game and one of the teams is getting blown out by 30, you're going to have some things to say about it in that studio show to constructively criticize what's going on. And I think for me, that was a little bit of a turnoff with some of the commentary.
And if you think that's harsh, Just wait until you hear about Monday's second game between the Laces Basketball Club, featuring Alyssa Thomas and fan favorite Kate Martin, and the Mist Basketball Club, with WNBA champion Breanna Stewart and WNBA Most Improved player Dejounte Carrington. The final score? 63-43. No, that's not a typo. The Mist only managed to score 43 points in an entire professional basketball game. At one point, they were stuck at just 4 points for what felt like an eternity. It was like watching a team play on those carnival rims that are slightly smaller than the basketball, making everything look even worse.
We have to start treating, and that's just an overarching thing, I feel like, in women's basketball media in general. There really hasn't been much room for criticism, and if you do criticize anything, it's like, oh, you're hating, just turn it off, this and that.
But the real kicker, the moment that truly highlights how dire the situation is, comes from none other than Draymond Green. Now, Draymond isn't exactly known for holding back his opinions, but even by his standards, this was brutal. He said, "I watched maybe like 2 seconds of it, got upset and turned the TV off." Let that sink in. A 4-time NBA champion, a guy who lives and breathes basketball, couldn't stomach more than 2 seconds of Unrivaled. That's like Gordon Ramsay walking into a kitchen, taking one sniff, and immediately walking out. It's that bad. If Draymond can't handle it, you know it's a major issue.
He drug its feet on getting these ratings out. I mean, again, the marketing spin they're trying to put on this is hilarious. TNT finally released the first television numbers for Unrivaled, the new women's professional 3-on-3 basketball league, and they aren't very good. Of course, TNT tried to spin the numbers as strong, but the facts state the obvious. No Caitlin Clark means no large audiences.
You know who wasn't playing in Unrivaled? The one player who actually moves the needle, Caitlin Clark. While Unrivaled struggles to keep viewers engaged, Clark is setting the basketball world on fire. We're not talking about a small bump in interest here. It's a seismic shift in how people view women's basketball. Her presence and performance are changing the game, proving just how much of an impact one star player can have on the sport's visibility and appeal.
However, one look at the WNBA ratings with Caitlin Clark shows just how much Unrivaled struggled without her. Heck, the Clark effect led to WNBA games that didn't even feature Clark drawing an average of 400,000 viewers. The WNBA drew millions of viewers for its championship series without Caitlin Clark. By the way, they were still embarrassingly low compared to games with Caitlin Clark. That last Indiana Fever playoff game had 2.64 million viewers or something like that. 2.64 million viewers.
Let's break it down. During the WNBA playoffs, Caitlin Clark's games were drawing some seriously impressive numbers. Almost 3 million viewers for a single playoff game. That's not just good. That's the kind of attention that stops you in your tracks. But it's not just about TV ratings. Caitlin Clark is a one-woman economic powerhouse. Get this. She was responsible for 26% of the WNBA's economic activity. That means 1 in 4 tickets, merchandise, hot dogs, you name it, sold was directly tied to her presence. Think about that for a second. One player is driving more than a quarter of an entire league's business, proving just how big her impact really is.
And the Fever are going to be over 200,000 higher than the next highest total attendance in league history. Clarkonomics, my friend!
This isn't just hype or media buzz. It's cold, hard cash, and real impact. While Unrivaled struggles at the bottom of the ratings barrel, Caitlin Clark is proving that women's basketball can be a major draw when you have the right star power. And it's not going unnoticed. WNBA players like Nafisa Collier are speaking out, saying Clark should be among the highest paid athletes in the league.
Why?
Because her influence stretches far beyond the court. She's reshaping the entire economic landscape of women's basketball, showing that star power can drive significant financial growth and elevate the sport to new heights.
Which makes the obvious even more obvious. Caitlin Clark is the biggest draw in women's basketball, and without her, many fans just aren't going to tune in.
Let's put this in perspective. Unrivaled is struggling to attract viewers. despite all the hype and marketing surrounding a brand new league. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is effortlessly pulling in millions of viewers like it's nothing. The difference in star power and impact is glaring, showing just how influential she really is.
With the new league, viewership early, shoo, and then it settles in. This viewership, and now it'll settle in. Really? I missed Angel Reese on my phone playing? What?
But it's more than just numbers on a screen. Caitlin Clark is creating a buzz that's translating into real-world excitement. People aren't just watching. They're buying tickets, grabbing jerseys, and discussing women's basketball in ways we've never seen before. This is the harsh reality Unrivaled is up against. They're not just competing with other leagues or forms of entertainment. They're up against the Caitlin Clark effect. And right now, it's not even a contest. Clark's impact on the sport is undeniable, leaving Unrivaled in the dust.
Caitlin Clark just did something very smart. Instead of always being the most popular in the room, the smartest in the room, like if I walk into any room and I'm the most handsome and the smartest, I got to get out of that room.
So, how does this compare to the WNBA? It's clear the WNBA has something Unrivaled doesn't: star power that actually translates into viewership and revenue. While Unrivaled tries to manufacture interest, the WNBA has a genuine phenomenon with Caitlin Clark leading the charge. Remember all the buzz around Unrivaled's big debut? Well, the numbers are in, and they're far from pretty. Let's dive into these ratings and take a closer look at how badly this so-called revolutionary league is struggling to make an impact.
If I'm the Unrivaled League, I go back to Caitlin Clark and say, what do you need? And then I give it to her. But Caitlin Clark seems beyond that, and that adds to her popularity. Less is more sometimes. A lesson that whoever dresses Angel Reese should learn.
At first glance, things didn't look too bad for Unrivaled. They managed to pull in about 300,000 viewers on average during their opening weekend. Not too shabby, right? But here's where it gets interesting. They couldn't keep it up. You know the saying, the proof is in the pudding? Well, Unrivaled's pudding started to spoil quickly. As the initial curiosity wore off, so did the viewership. By Monday, ratings took a nosedive, plummeting to around 100,000 viewers. That's not just a dip, it's a full-on ratings freefall. But wait, there's more. David Levy, an investor in Unrivaled, tried to put a positive spin on the situation. He emphasized that viewership numbers are just one metric of success. Levy pointed to social media engagement and merchandise sales, boasting about 31 million views across platforms during the opening weekend. While that sounds good on paper, let's be real. If people aren't tuning in to watch the actual games, those social media numbers won't translate into long-term success. And when your biggest backer is TNT, the only thing that truly matters to TV networks are the ratings, because they directly impact advertising revenue. Without strong ratings, the league's financial future is in jeopardy.
Gramming, obviously. And there's no chance that TNT executives are happy about these numbers now, despite their social media posting touting strong viewership. Well, that's what they're supposed to do. Look, you and I both know, right? We both know. No Caitlin Clark, no watch. No Caitlin Clark in the league, no watch. I mean, let's just be honest. Caitlin Clark's in that league, viewership doubles, if not triple.
Here's where things get really painful for Unrivaled. Remember Caitlin Clark? Her absence from this league has left a massive gap in their ratings. Analysts are pointing out that without Clark, who has been a game changer for WNBA viewership, many fans just aren't tuning into Unrivaled. It's like trying to sell tickets to a concert where the headliner cancels last minute and is replaced by your local high school band. The result? Industry insiders are already using the D word: disaster. Unrivaled isn't just failing to make a splash, it's barely making a ripple. And in the cutthroat world of sports entertainment, that's a death sentence. Without a genuine star and a sustained interest to back it up, Unrivaled risks fading into obscurity.
Caitlin Clark's star is only going to shine brighter because she handles herself with grace and class, and she's hanging out with the A-list stars.
Despite the initial ratings hiccup, Unrivaled isn't throwing in the towel just yet, especially when it comes to social media. However, this early buzz doesn't change the fact that the league is struggling to find its footing. Without a true superstar like Caitlin Clark, it's becoming clear that star power alone isn't enough to carry a league. You need someone who can captivate audiences and keep them coming back for more. Clark has shown how powerful one player can be in shaping the success of a league, but Unrivaled is still looking for that type of star. As Clark gears up for her sophomore WNBA season, the big question is whether Unrivaled will even make it to next year. Only time will tell if they can turn social media views into real viewership. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out.